On the news at 1, new minimum wage set to take effect as federal government and labor bodies reach agreement and industrial action suspended. Rural communities in FCT appeal to authorities to provide adequate and functional primary health care centers. And still in the spirit of independence, correspondent x-rays potentials in grassroots sports development. Good afternoon and welcome to the news at 1 on NC Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. My name is Aisha Obali. Let's begin with industrial actions. The labor industrial action scheduled to commence this Tuesday has been suspended. This followed an agreement between the organized labor unions and the federal government after an intensive meeting which lasted about 5 hours between the two parties. The 15-point agreement includes payment of a wage award of 35,000 naira only to all federal government workers beginning from the month of September, pending when a new national minimum wage is expected to have been signed into law. We also agreed that a minimum wage committee shall be inaugurated within 1 month from the date of this agreement, while the federal government is to suspend collection of value-added tax (VAT) on diesel for 6 months beginning from October 2023.
Four, federal government accepts to vote 100 billion for the provision of high-capacity buses for mass transit in Nigeria. The federal government plans to implement various tax incentive measures for private sector and the general public. The federal government commits to pay 25,000 per month for 3 months, starting from October 2023, to 15 million households, including vulnerable pensioners. The federal government will increase its initiative on subsidized distribution of fertilizers to farmers across the country. The federal government should urge state government through the National Economic Council and Governors Forum to implement wage award to their workers. Similar consideration should also be given to local governments and the private sector workers. A joint visitation will be made to the refineries to ascertain their rehabilitation status.
Officially been suspended based on this agreement, and the federal government is committing itself to ensuring that all the aspects of this agreement will be implemented.
House correspondent Musbahu Wahab reported that all the agreements are expected to be implemented within 30 days.
We signed this agreement with the belief that every single item in this agreement are implementable. Every single item in this agreement, we are extremely serious about them, and we wish to also reiterate that we are expecting 100% implementation and not a 99%.
The workers at the state level will have organs in those places that use this as a benchmark to go towards the implementation.
And now let's take a look at a review of some sectors as Nigeria marks its 63rd independence. Abuja, Nigeria's famous capital city, is majorly a mix of politicians, civil servants, and Nigerians migrating for better opportunities. The FCT has not just been a center of attraction, but a strategic and prospective location with economic potential, which Deborah Micah now examines.
Agro-highlight industry, transportation, retail businesses, real estate development and hospitality industry are the economic activities in the FCT and key contributory factors to the gross domestic product, which is currently at 10.6 trillion naira. Among the states, FCT is said to have the highest, which is 17% of total state GDP.
We need the metro line, to transit people from one place to another. I mean, with the new metro, because I can listen to, if our metro line is on, the electricity is constant. Things are working well. It will attract the foreigners.
The president has established a linkage between agriculture and food security. And this is very, very key. It's a new change that Nigerians should take note. That is, Mr. President is talking about we being self-sufficient.
Although Raphael Okori, an Abuja business mogul, observes the bureaucratic constraints to doing business in the FCT.
We have little or less multiple taxation. But the application of the tax laws also is a problem because the area councils are becoming overwhelming and begin to make laws, create taxes, enforce those taxes and all that arbitrarily without due process and due regulations. What we have seen in the past 2 or 3 years is scary. We are AMAC, to be specific, and other group of individuals, criminals, had under the guise of local governments and the rest of them and have flooded the whole city, made it impossible for people to do business. You can't move food from one location to the other and services. The FCT administration has to do something very urgent about it because if not, what you have is a breakdown of law and order because people resort to self-help.
Abuja as business hub, goods from neighboring states arrive the city on a daily basis with young persons tapping the economic opportunities.
Abuja is an emerging city and whatever happens globally affects Abuja directly, almost immediately. And so what President Tinubu has done is to remove Nigeria from intensive care and say, look, I'm going to take you to the ward, get you treated, get you discharged, and then you get back to work. So Nigeria is working, and I hope within the shortest possible time, things are going to evolve and Nigeria will pick up.
At 63 years of nationhood, respondents say Abuja has benefited from infrastructural development than other parts of the country as real estate is king. Also, over the years, a steady increase in demand for both residential and commercial properties have resulted in a construction boom that has provided jobs for the young people.
Another driver of the economy in the FCT is its population. The influx of people to the city is an advantage as migration has its socio-economic benefits. In Abuja, Deborah Micah, NTA News.
Now looking at health. Towards attaining better healthcare system, residents of the FCT have appealed to authorities in the healthcare industry to ensure the primary healthcare system becomes more effective and health workers are well catered for, as this would reduce the mass exodus of health workers out of the country. Serafina Okonomekwe has the details of this.
Well, the last 1 year in the FCT, particularly the primary health care, it has passed through some successful stages and public confidence restored. This is as a result of the commitment of government, especially at the FCT and area council levels.
With the quality of health care that we have in Nigeria are also in great need in most of this country. Anywhere you go in this world, you see Nigerians in the health sector at prominent position providing quality healthcare services. But what government is doing now is to also to improve the quality of their lives.
Available records show the Federal Capital Territory has 62 wards with more than 300 primary healthcare centers. The authorities say concerted efforts have been made by government via funding of primary healthcare facilities for the first time through Basic Healthcare Provision Fund.
We have 354 primary healthcare centers in FCT. And for the population of the FCT, that is, according to WHO, it may not seem adequate. But compared to what we have in the rest of Africa, not even West Africa, that is a lot.
WHO alone in FCT, we have 50 management support team, high-level experts who are distributed in all the settlements in the Federal Capital Territory to ensure that there's effective supportive supervision.
However, despite successes recorded, few communities in the FCT, like the Brom community under the Abuja Municipal Area Council, lacks both facilities and personnel. As the community head, Idris Salah had to get a volunteer healthcare worker placed on monthly stipend.
We have a care center here, and there is no drugs, no staff. When we went to AMAC to request for the staff, they say they are not. There is no any staff on ground.
The labor start now. Some they born for house. Some they carry say go hospital.
For the Dutse Alaji and Karo primary healthcare centers, the narrative is different as they run 24-hour service, which the people say they are satisfied.
My second daughter have an issue with her toothache. It was being taken care of.
Before, we don't have doctors in our primary health care, but now we have doctors in some of the facilities.
Dr. Adedolakpo Fasawe, Secretary Health and Human Services Secretariat of the FCTA, says, with renewed hope of Mr. President, the Nigerian healthcare system is opened to growth and development through a holistic approach.
Policy of basic healthcare provisions cuts across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. But the people of FCT say they are hopeful it will translate to reducing brain drain and socioeconomic indices that will improve the overall well-being of the country. I am Serafina Okon-Omekwe.
Meanwhile, education is the bedrock of every society and a foundation to strengthening development. Bearing this knowledge, Hakimat Aliyu in this independent special x-rays the giant strides in the education sector in the Federal Capital Territory.
Since Nigeria got our independence in 1960, education has remained a key area of focus for the government.
It is worthy to note that before independence, the defunct Western Regional Government had blazed the trail ahead of other regions with the introduction of free education in 1955. This is, however, similar to what is currently obtainable in most public primary and secondary schools in the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT.
And in FCT, we are doing everything possible to ensure that every child of school age resident FCT get ECCD, primary and junior secondary school.
Education as key development strategy, the FCT administration recently deployed the leapfrog approach to the development of the sector by recently presenting certificates to more than 140 newly approved and accredited schools, 600. A recent statistics from the FCT Education Secretariat also indicates that more than 100 schools were renovated with more classrooms built between 2017 and now, as well as expanded access to education in rural areas, with more schools across villages in the territory.
Go to our boarding schools, we have the facilities there. Then if you go to our day schools, all the same thing, including our classes, though no book written shall be 100% perfect. So we have other areas where we're going to improve. My director, Dr. Mohamed San Ladan, went to make his presentation with the Secretary for Education FCT, and where he showed all the achievements and the challenges our secondary schools are having. And so heartily we were, those of us who were there, that the secretary promised that something will be done.
In the FCT, the Universal Basic Education Board and the Secondary Education Board are saddled with ensuring education standards, implementing policies for upgrading. The benefits of the various investments in the educational infrastructure manifest daily as schools in the FCT have excelled in many local and international competitions and life endeavors.
FCT graduates are doing wonderfully well wherever they later find themselves in other spheres of lives, even abroad.
We introduce a lot of things to ensure that we match global dynamics, like introduction of ICT in all our schools, training of teachers in ICT. In fact, in the last 1 year, we have trained more than 7,000 teachers across board.
Through the aid of advanced technology, the FCT has seen the emergence of smart schools, using technology in the delivery of quality learning and teaching, a development that has gained ground since it became a popular solution to beating the COVID-19 pandemic-induced restrictions.
A resounding message there from students of FCT Junior Secondary School, Area 11 Garki, as Nigeria marks 63 years of independence. In Abuja, Hakimat Ali, NCA News.
Away from education now, the development strides of the Federal Capital Territory is more visible in the city center and gradually penetrating satellite towns, with residents calling for more infrastructural development. Ojurio Borio Aritera is standing by to tell us more on development in the hinterlands.
Having gone around some communities, one unique observation I have made is the consensus by the people to support the government in the development of the hinterland.
The people believe the vast lands and open spaces of the suburb provide enough grounds for network of alternative roads and bypass away from the busy city. Such expanded efforts at the development, which has been the hallmark of the FCTA, they say, should be intensified, especially now as the nation enters another era in its 63rd anniversary.
The development of the rural communities in the FCT is very poor, and we all know it. So we feel that the job is too big for the government to take responsibility of a large federal capital territory of this kind. So we are asking that on this 63rd birthday of our country, the federal capital should look at it, the federal government should look at it and deem it necessary to at least separate between the federal capital city and the federal capital territory, so that the people of FCT can have a sense of belonging.
Today, the satellite towns of Kubwa, Nyanya, Karo, Lugbe, which are gradually expanding to merge into the greater Abuja city, especially with the population explosion within the last decade. Chief of Gariki Chiefdom, Usman Ngakupe, in an alerted mood on the independence, appreciates the government for what he terms the giant strides of development. He, however, calls for more government presence in the villages.
New Minister, Mr. Project, Barrister Inyoso Wike, and Hajia Dr. Maria Mahmoud, to see how they can still put more effort, because most of the populace reside in the rural areas, so that the influx from within the city will be reduced.
These villages host more civil servants and other low-income earners. Some of the villages are close to the city center, yet they find it so difficult to access their offices in the city center on time.
We call on the Honorable Minister Nelson Wike to come and dualize this road for us, so that it can ease the movement of vehicles on the road.
We need the help of the government to bring water for us, so that we will have house to house. Sometimes we fetch in our head to our house.
It is about infrastructure and making the hinterland as beautiful as the city center. Oh, what do you think? All the same, happy Independence Day.
You're watching the news at 1 on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, and still to come in the news. Former Minister of Women Affairs rolls out drums of celebration at Independence with Women Group.
Many thanks for joining us on the program Issues on NTA Channel 5 Abuja.
It's only when you have that you would know the number of buildings.
To develop the internal infrastructure, which we call secondary and tertiary.
So there's no reason why we cannot go in there, provide more schools, take in more services.
At the official exchange rate, they can't meet up, except the government subsidizes them.
Join us on the program every Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Issues, dissecting the issues through conversations. Join us then.
Thanks for staying tuned. As part of activities to mark Nigeria's 63rd independence anniversary, women from all walks of life converge on the Federal Capital Territory to celebrate as well as ease from stress after the usual daily work and home activities. Hawa Gimba reports that this was dance all the way.
Tagged Abuja Women Stress It Out. It brought women together, connecting as one family. Former Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talem, says women should not be relegated to the background, but advise that they all connect and build one another.
See, a lot of people die because of stress, depression. Do you know the main cause of cancer? Depression and unforgiveness. Please learn to let go. Forgive your sister, forgive your brother, forgive whoever has hurt you, and just be happy.
We are going to let it go. We are going to stress it out, and we have to be intentional. And I know at the end of all this, we will function better.
Women say they are happy, and the dance is a sure way to get relieved and relax. The Abuja Women Dance is the second since its creation in 2022. Highlights of the event was dancing competition. Hawadimba NTA News.
Similarly, sport in Nigeria has been more of a roller coaster ride since independence, with many highs and lows recorded. Is there a general consensus that the country's potential in sport hasn't been properly developed to bring commensurate success? Sports correspondent Badi Adele in this special report takes a look at Nigeria's sport over the years and how the abundance of talent in the country can be harnessed for international glory.
Nigeria, since independence, has recorded remarkable success in many sports, especially in boxing, football, and athletics. These achievements saw the country become a household name in sports in no time, especially in Africa. Recently, the country has seen our sports stars put up record-breaking performances in athletics, football, wrestling, basketball, combat sports, and some other sports. Despite recent successes recorded in sports, there have also been so many lows.
You'll be deceived into thinking that Nigeria has done very well, because in actual fact, the nation has done very well within the African continent. And we need to celebrate and commend that. When you take it to the global level, however, you begin to see gaps. Because when you compare with Kenya, Ethiopia, Algeria, and a few other countries, Nigeria is nowhere to be seen.
Our sport in the last couple of decades has actually been on a slippery slope. And the reason this is so is because so far we've not been able to create systems to sustain the talents we've got or to create a better platform for the talents that we've got. I think Nigeria has been heavily reliant on natural talent.
Because right now we are just living on past glory where people refer to us as giant of Africa, but there's nothing to show about it. When you look at
Harnessing it has been a major issue.
there has to be a conscientious plan on the part of government to invest in grassroots development of the game, to invest in grassroots programs, and also talking about infrastructural development.
The way forward, of course, is tied to the problem, lack of system, building systems to absorb our talent.
There is the need for organizations, agencies, individuals to come to play and get involved and develop the talent to help our country to achieve her potentials. Government cannot do it. You can't live, sports is too big for you to live in the hands of politicians.
While the impact of the National Youth Games and Sports Festival cannot be overemphasized, sports enthusiasts call for more deliberate policies as Nigeria aims to be a powerhouse in sports. In Abuja, Bade Adeleye, NT News.
Let's now join our sports desk for sports break.
Super Eagles head coach Jose Peseiro has recalled defenders Kenneth Omeruo and Bright Osai Samuel, as well as defender Alex Iwobi and forward Terry Murphy, to the Super Eagles squad for this month's international friendly matches against Saudi Arabia and Mozambique.